Hi everyone, my name is Queen K, and I'm a marketing specialist here at Honey. And I just wanted to take the time today to show you all how you're able to access the Reach One Network application on your Amazon Fire TV. So without further ado, let's get things started. All right, so we're here on the landing page for the Fire TV. We're gonna go ahead and use the voice command by searching by saying, Alexa, open Reach One Network.
Here's Reach One Network.
And we're here. So we have the live section, radio section, and video section. So immediately you see Honey. You can definitely tap in over to see what's the buzz there. Consistent 24/7 good stuff, content over there, as well as, like I said, the radio section. Here we have some great things for your listening pleasure. Just in case you want to listen into some things, you may not want to, you might want to see anything. You want to listen. And last but not least, we have the video section, which is a repository of all the wonderful content that has come up and things that will be airing very soon. So I'm very excited to see what you guys think. So take some time, go through each tab and really just dig into the content here. And make sure you guys are rating us, and we're just happy to see you guys do this content. My name is Queen K, and I'll talk to you guys soon.
Hi everyone, it's Natalie Jameson here. I'm the marketing strategist at Honey, and today I will be breaking down how you can go about accessing Honey on your Roku device. To download Honey, it really is very simple. First, you're going to go to your Roku homepage, and you're going to go to the option Search. Next, type in Honey in your search bar. And the app section here. And of course we see Honey with that beautiful dripping honey logo. We know that Honey is one of its kind, and it's the only one present here, so we're going to click it. So now what we're going to do is we're going to have a look around. New at Honey is the on-demand feature. So now you could go into accessing any of the movies that have previously shown in our Saturday night movie premiere at any time, as they're all accessible here in this lineup. What's currently going on in Honey, we're going to click the live streams. It's going to load.
Be more supportive.
Basically, to check out some of the other features, just kind of look around and just feel free to explore. And that's all, folks. So thank you so much for tuning in and watching this quick tutorial on how to access Honey and download it on Roku. Be sure to keep up with us at Honey Movies app on every social media there is: TikTok, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or X, whichever one you want to call it. And keep it locked here for more updates in the coming weeks. Stay tuned for more. Thank you. Bye.
Paycheck.
I'm unemployed.
Paycheck. Paycheck.
I'm unemployed.
Paycheck. Play sets and make reps for paychecks, and you stay fresh. Don't take threats from bait heads.
I'm unemployed.
Unemployment check.
All right, we're live. What's going on? Happy Wednesday night or whatever day you are listening to this broadcast. We are live, ladies and gentlemen. There we go. Unemployment Check, episode 3. Good evening. The architect here is Sean Garvey, live coming to you out on location, still out on location. Make sure you subscribe, like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Reach One Network, as well as on the Honey channel. Follow us there and make sure you download the Honey app to your Roku TV and all of your devices. All right. This is Unemployment Check, in which we talk about all the things happening in the job market and also bring on guests that are or have experienced a form of unemployment. Now, if you had an opportunity, I'm trying to get my ticker on here. There we go. If you had an opportunity to check out episode 2, which is on demand on our YouTube channel at Reach One Network, we talked about the bottom line. Last time we were live, we talked about the bottom line in today's economic climate. And also, I shared with you a little bit about how this show came into fruition. And if you missed that, we have the show on demand on YouTube at Reach One Network. But just to remind people, if you are new to the show, Unemployment Check started out as a podcast series. It was supposed to be a ongoing podcast series, and we only did the pilot episode for the show, which is also available on YouTube at Reach One Network and on Spotify, iHeart, wherever you get your podcast from. But I told my team and I told myself, look, it's so much happening in the world right now in the job market. People are losing jobs left and right and are unemployed. If they are not self-employed or if they are not on a contractual basis with a particular employer or organization or what have you, they are really feeling the pinch of what is happening to not only themselves, but to their families as well, because the job market and the way things are nowadays is making a very negative impact to people's livelihoods and to their wallets and to their pockets as well. We have a guest, a first-time guest. He's actually our very first-time guest being on the show on Unemployment Check, and we're going to bring him on in just a few moments. But I want to play an audio clip courtesy of WANF here in Atlanta about a CDC worker who had to find a new way to make money in the meantime, between time, because of course he was one of the many CDC workers, CDC standing for Center Disease for Control Diseases. I want to make sure I get it right, the CDC. And he was one of the many CDC workers that lost his job, and he had to turn to getting another job, or at least creating one, if you will. So I'm going to play that audio clip. Center for Disease Control. I want to make sure I get that right. CDC, Center for Disease Control. And here's what he had to share with you, ladies and gentlemen, about what he's currently doing and how he is surviving in these unfortunate times with the job market being the way that it is. So we're going to play that audio clip, and then we're going to talk to our very first guest here on Unemployment Check. So stay tuned. We will be right back right after we play this clip, courtesy of WANF Atlanta, as I should say, right here on Unemployment Check.
confusion and chaos at the Atlanta-based Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Employees fired, terminated, on leave, let go. No one's exactly sure what to call it, but one thing is certain. It's that the future is unclear. Atlanta News First Yasmina Alston is live near the West End community in Southwest Atlanta. Yasmina, that's where one fired CDC employee is now forced to take up other work.
I'm reinstated, but I can't go in. I'm on administrative leave, and so I can't contribute to the team. And so I'm doing this now.
Pressure washing driveways is part of his new business, ATL Hose. Working with his equipment, Ryan Sloan is trying to stay occupied and make money after he says he was fired from Atlanta-based Centers for Disease Control and Prevention.
So I'm kind of living in limbo right now. I'm not really sure where I am or what's going to happen, so I just kind of exist.
Sloan was one of nearly 1,300 probationary employees at the CDC who were forced out under the Trump administration's move to get rid of them. He started at the CDC in December last year, then says he got terminated on February 14th due to performance, which he argues against. Then, in a twist, Sloan received an email until tomorrow.
The way this was done, it wasn't efficient. It's not making people healthier or safer. It's not making us greater. It's causing a lot of chaos and confusion.
Sloan says he's been vocal about his frustrations, joining others to protest outside of the CDC in DeKalb County.
It's nice people have honked.
His sign reads, quote, illegally fired government employee.
We hope we can have the administration's support soon because we would like the opportunity to get back to work for the American people.
Sloan worked in public relations at the CDC, a position that releases important information.
So this is vital information for affected communities.
Now he is spraying and washing for work, offering discounts to current CDC workers and their families, plus other fired federal workers, until he gets some answers.
This kind of chaos and confusion and contradicting mandates, it is confusing, and the American people are entitled to clarity.
And this is the equipment that Sloan uses to do his work, and he actually spent today pressure washing this driveway. Now, he tells us that he has not received any answers from the CDC yet. We're
confusion and chaos at the Atlanta-based Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Employees fired, terminated, on leave, let go. No one's exactly sure what to call it, but one thing is certain. It's that the future is unclear. Atlanta News First Yasmina Alston is live near the...
Okay, all right. We're going to go ahead and get right back into the show here. So that was a clip courtesy of WANF in Atlanta. And they were covering a story about a CDC worker, I guess it's fair to say a former CDC worker now, who had to turn to pressure washing because he needed the money to keep coming in after he and many other CDC workers were fired from the CDC as part of Trump's plan to alleviate or eliminate as many governmental jobs as much as possible. And it's not just only the CDC, it's also the U.S. Department of Education and many other governmental jobs. So it really caused a ripple effect to many people, including that gentleman who had to turn to pressure washing just so he can pay the bills and not be in a particular situation where he cannot pay the bills and provide and support his family due to being laid off from the CDC. Joining with us right here on Unemployment Check, we have a gentleman on here right now who has recently published his book called The 21st Century Advanced Chemistry, which he hopes he can turn it into a textbook one day. He also have published 3 cosmetic chemistry books, what you need to know about complexion perfectors, as well as what you need to know about beautiful nails and innovative development of creative fashions, dress in ladies' nylons for beautiful and better looks in society. We're going to have that website posted on here on Unemployment Check in just a few moments. So this gentleman stays busy. All right. Let the people know who you are. Who do we have here on the line?
My name is Harminder Gill, and I'm professor of chemistry. This quarter, I'm actually teaching at the UCLA Extension Center. I have taught at many different community colleges throughout Southern California. Currently, I rank 4.9 to 5 on Rate My Professors. I have tutored at least one student in 28 different states in the USA, including Canada, okay, and even outside the USA itself there. I have a very high success rate. Many students of mine have gone on to successful programs, admissions to schools of their choices, and they keep continuing to be successful and tell me all their successes along the way here. On my spare time, I do write books, and I have even more cosmetics chemistry books. I'm also a science fiction author, so I do have my books in the Hollywood database. Who knows if it'll make it into the movie screen one day there, but other than that, I'm very proud that I was invited by Sean Garvey here to be his guest here for this show, Unemployment Check.
Harminder, thank you so much for accepting the invitation. And it sounds that you are doing very well for yourself in the landscape of literature and just the world of entrepreneur. We're seeing a lot of people right now who are going from being 9-to-5 workers to entrepreneurs or whatever direction that they see fit. You have an interesting story, by the way, and we just heard the clip courtesy of WANF here in Atlanta. That's Channel 46. I want to make sure I give them their credit about a former CDC worker who, of course, is one of the many people who lost their jobs. And the CDC, by the way, the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, is based here in Atlanta, Georgia. Of course, it went all over the news wire about the many of CDC workers. Of course, it's governmental that lost their jobs as part of President Donald Trump's plan to eliminate as many governmental jobs as possible. We'll get into all that and more, but what are your thoughts on that after listening to that clip?
Wow, I can't believe I'm actually living this moment, learning that our president wants to abolish the Department of Education. Honestly, I don't know if that's good or not good. I never really understand the news. I never really know if I should trust it or not there. I just hope that whatever happens will work out for the best for everything there. Honestly, I feel very bad. I've actually I do a lot of research. You're talking to a guy here who has done research in almost every academic subject out there. And that really helps me be really well-rounded to my students. And they love that because not only I teach, I was also a public speaker in Toastmasters International. I was a comedian. I'm a clarinetist. I was actually a volunteer with an art association. I'm very clever and technologically oriented with many different computer backgrounds, computers itself there. And you can see that based on my background itself there. So the ability of me to integrate many different academic fields in my teaching has really skyrocketed and has really helped tremendously. Now, one of my best role models, I really look up to people like Michael Jackson. He is really talented. I've seen him since childhood on television, and I learned something about him. And one of the best advice he gives to people is really the best education is learning from the experts. And so I learned from many of the experts in the teaching profession, and I'm very proud to share it worldwide to many, many students out there. And the ball just keeps rolling and it keeps getting better and better for all of them there. I never have a problem getting any clients. Maybe the reason, how am I so successful in my teaching profession? Well, it's kind of strange.
I was just going to ask you that. Not to cut you off, but I was just going to ask you that because you got a lot of accolades, but how did you get into that?
Okay, wonderful. I got to be really honest with you. When I grew up as a child, I was a real loner. I wasn't the top person in high school. I was average. I went to UC Riverside. I was still a loner. And I graduated there. Then I went to UC Davis. I was still a learner in my 20s. So I really was a really isolated person studying and never thought that I would have a big impact and contribution to this very day, still being very young. So I went into the teaching profession, and like I said, I'm very proud that a lot of the students continue to do well. Now, I was teaching at the community colleges from 2002 to 2007. Now, the economy hit hard. And I was in the chemistry field and did fabulous. I was in my 20s. I was very young, doing better even than the supervisors, the coworkers. I'm going to be honest with you. They didn't like a younger person doing better than them. So, hey, they found a way to get rid of me. It didn't bother me because I knew my day will come again. And it keeps coming again and again. Now, after 2007, there weren't any chemistry positions. So I was lost. I was really lost for almost like that time period till like maybe 2011, where I came back and I did Toastmasters public speaking, and I got a chance to be back at the community college in 2019. So that time gap of unemployment, it was tough for me. I actually experienced loved ones being passed away, family, friends. I did something very clever. I decided to open up many doors, and I decided I'm going to study every academic subject and just take whatever opportunity that I get out there. It was whether it's volunteer work at a hospital, whether it's just being part of, like I said, Toastmasters. Nobody would even imagine that a scientist like me is actually a certified mediator for small claims court. No one will believe me that, hey, I'm also a tax professional, really close to becoming an enrolled agent. I'm also in the real estate profession. I haven't sold a house yet. I just became a financial educator through Financial Pro Network. Hopefully I will stay on very long there. And during that time period, I did lots of tutoring and meeting different people in the community. And I was, like I said, I was with an art association, never got paid, but I learned a heck of a lot. I was with the gardening association. I really branched out to anything that's out there, and I took it. And I kept taking it, and I kept integrating all the subjects and all my professions to all these professions. However I can apply the knowledge and the wisdom to that there. So, hey, I got hired back at the college again in 2019. Did a fabulous job again at the next college. It was COVID, and 4 to 5 years was still fabulous. 4.9 out of 5. I got hired at a new one. I got another 5 out of 5 at the other college. And now I'm at UCLA Extension Center, and I'm doing a fabulous job there. Hopefully I can still maintain my 5, but if it goes down, it goes down. But I know I can still maintain strong, high ratings out there. Not because I demand it, because I have a passion. I have that kind heart where I want to do what's right out there. And they all see that, the enthusiasm and the joy that I bring to the classroom, the smiling, it really makes all the difference there. And like I said, I've been very creative with my teaching. Saturdays, I offer Science Saturday Success Seminar. Fridays or Sundays, I offer Science Night Theater, where I'm the host of documentaries. So, like I said, I get really creative with all my teaching and all that there. And people are wondering, geez, why take a class last quarter on acting? Well, being a Toastmaster and public speaker, I wanted to branch out and be just as good as those world champions. And comedy was one of them, which I do. I actually give newsletters to my students called Professor Giggles. It changes my last name, Gill, to Giggles, okay, with 2 L's. And so it's gone really great there. But I figure I'm missing something in my life. I'm not having that social life. So I figured I got to get into acting. I get into TV. One of my supervisors at Kaiser Permanente, she told me, "You robbed everybody." And I said, what did she mean by that? I guess she meant that, hey, not everybody can see Harminder Gill out there. And I actually learned in a hard way, there are actually lots of people, including students, who really miss me all over California. They come back and tell me all these things. So the struggles And the put downs, whether it's coworkers or even higher bosses being threatened from a younger person like me, has made me stronger. But I still face this, and I still do, but I still get back on my feet and I continue to do whatever opportunity comes out there. Like right now, I'm not at the college. I actually accepted to help with K through 6 at an elementary school for the next few months. It's very rewarding to work with the kids there, and I'm accomplishing so much still in that teaching profession. Who knows where I'll be next there, but hopefully I will continue to be staying at a university doing teaching, research, and really contributing to the sciences. It's really rare for a scientist like me to be in the teaching profession, to really show everybody that I enjoy what I do. I don't let the outside problems get to me. The students, they know that. And it's really rare that you would have somebody like me have office hours morning all the way up to 12 a.m. And I have done that there for all of them there, whoever needed my help. My computer's on 24 hours a day. I'm available on the holidays, the weekends there, and I always have time to listen to my students. And they always tell me, I don't think I'll ever have a professor like you, Professor Gill. You're so different from everybody else there. And I want to be seen as a well-rounded professor. I don't want to be seen as other professors who more cold-hearted, leave me alone. I want to get this job. I want to get back to my research there. I don't want that there, okay? And I know what it feels like because I was a student, and I still feel like a student taking online classes. But like I said, to make this long story short of being unemployed, I have plenty of gaps, but I've used that gaps for studying for new careers and building upon the careers that I have. And I learned to overcome adversity by not letting all these negative problems in the world get to me, because I know I'm not alone, and I know I can be better off and stronger somewhere else, and I have been. And I know there will be more better things, just looking at the positive side there. There will be negative, but there will always still be positive choices where we can look through life and find something better along the way there. That's really
I agree.
I
agree. And I want to come in, and by the way, you have expound on so much of your achievements and what you're currently doing and how it's making an impact to your students, right? But it wasn't always like that. It wasn't always like that, right? And the purpose of the show Unemployment Check is to make awareness, to bring awareness to people that are facing some form of adversity, trials and tribulations of not being employed, not able to go to a 9-to-5 job, or maybe are going to a 9-to-5 job and not making the kind of money that they want to make, as if they're feeling like they're working for free, right? And so let's go all the way back, not too further back, but let's go all the way back on how life was like for you before the inevitable happened, which is being unemployed. What was it like for you before you faced that unemployment? And then we'll get into what it was like for you when you became unemployed.
Yeah. So beginning being unemployed, the college that I was teaching at, I feel like the top person in a medium-sized lecture room. Then, well, I would say I wasn't liked there, maybe due to jealousy or whatever. And so I took small positions, and my life was very different. I wasn't in the chemistry field that I expected to be after 20 years of studying, 7 years at the community college. And I felt very lost. I want to know who my real friends are in life. And I still look for that, who's genuine out there. And I really understand what a lot of people are going through. But I was strong because I know from my heart the most successful people in the world are really the people who could take life and enjoy the small things life has to offer. And if it took for someone like me to volunteer to find small positions, I went from a really big professorship position in 2007 to really, really small, to doing things like adult literacy tutoring. I went that, and I think back then I would look at myself and say, oh no, this looks bad on me. But it doesn't. It really doesn't, because it shows that I'm not like some professors who are macho and arrogant in the university field. And it shows that I'm big enough to take any position out there, small. And I did. And I took a driving instructor's job there with a few different schools, and I was still very good. But it was very different, but I made the best of it, the best of whatever I had. Food, shelter, being in a new environment, meeting new people. I enjoyed, basically, to make a long story short, whatever was there, I made the best of it there. Now, I live in the city of Riverside. I don't have the luxury of Orange County, San Diego, or Los Angeles. Everybody loves to be there. And I no longer feel that jealousy at all. I don't, because I'm very successful in a quiet place. I'm central to all these places. And, I enjoy, basically, to make a long story short, the small things life has to offer. And that's something that I grew up being a child, living in a middle-class neighborhood, and still being a very happy child. And I did it. And I knew that the day will come where I'll be back on my feet once again, and I'm out there. So hopefully that answers your question, Sean.
So I wanted to explore a little bit about that, about the jealousy part, because we've all faced that in the industry that we work in. I work in the media industry, in the television, film, podcast, radio industry. And I've had people that were sensitive, that were jealous of me because I outperformed them, or I did more than what they did, or it was just something about me that rubbed them the wrong way. And it comes with the territory of being employed in an industry where certain people have an expectation of you to either outperform or to step outside of your element and do something that is more, that's going to help bring more value to the company than what everybody else or what that other person is doing. There are people in the industry that feel like a person like you, Professor Gill, would come in and take their job. That's the number one. That's the number one thing, right? They feel that some people in the industry, in the field, outside of media, it doesn't have to just be media industry. It could just be in corporate America or any other industry where people feel like a person like Professor Gill would come in and take that person's job away. But let's take a deep dive into that. Like, how did that speculation or that accusation come into place where you felt that your former co-workers or people that you worked alongside with in the industry were jealous of you? What made you feel like you came to that conclusion?
Well, honestly, I'll be honest with you. I didn't really know what the word jealousy is almost like 20 years ago. So I went to dictionary.com. I looked it up. I did my research. Like I said, I do research on a lot of things. I never really knew anything about them. I was really focused on the science field. I'm in my science role, focusing on science and technology. That's where my mind is almost every single day. Now, a lot of people in society are different. Okay? I don't want to say that they're all nosy, but there are people like that there. And so I couldn't figure out why people are mistreating me, coworkers or bosses there. But the students are wonderful there. So it took me a long time. And one of the things about the students is that I actually learned from the students too about life. They actually brought things to my attention. And boy, you'll be surprised that it was very, very true that the things that they're telling you that, hey, your coworkers, your bosses, they just don't like you because you're doing a wonderful job. So then, again, late at night, and I love doing research on a lot of things, I go to Forbes here and I even pulled it up right now. 10 reasons good employees get fired. And really quick, I'll put this in my own words here. It says that, hey, you can get fired if your excellent results in the job cause embarrassment to higher level managers, if you ask a question no one wants to answer or think about, if you're setting normal boundaries for yourself, if you're naming the elephant in the room, here's a good one. If you have a better idea than your boss's idea, which I normally do. And then here's another one. You can get fired for too much attention from your top leaders in your organization. And I do get a lot of attention. And this is the number one thing people, I think, really hate me in the work environment. You can get fired for doing a good job that other departments get angry. And you can get fired for visibility outside your company and for having too many ideas for your manager. And here's the last good one. This also applies to me. I really do accomplish a lot at work. And so then it says here, the boss wonders, will this employee come after my job next? No, I'm not after that. Really, honestly, I'm into teaching and research. I want to stay there. I don't want to deal all the time with people-related problems. I want to minimize that there. But they don't know that. They don't know me there. And when they do come to know me, honestly speaking, the majority of these supervisors, they look back and they regret that they misjudged me.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen that in their faces. So, but anyway, I don't let this.
You don't let it get to you.
No.
Yeah. I mean, I can relate. I can relate. I've had people in the field that I was working in, even my last employment or one of my last employments, because I am currently employed with another employer. But one of my last employers let me go despite the fact that I put in my 2 weeks notice. I put in my 2 weeks notice and they decided to end my employment earlier. But during my term there at that particular employer, I outperformed everyone else in that department. And yet I still got paid less than what I should have got paid. And it felt like at times I was coming in there and I was working for free. It's like the classic saying, I'm probably going to mess this up a little bit, but it's like the classic saying, you working 40 hours a week for a weekend check. And that's what happened. Every 2 weeks I get my check and the next day it's gone. But the other part of outperforming people is that, well, I've learned in this business is that if you are trying to go the extra mile, if you're trying to get to a higher position or you're trying to level up, as the young folks would say nowadays, you got to work 10 times harder than the next person or than the other person right beside you. So it's almost like a case of damn if you do, damn if you don't. Like, okay, if I don't show initiative or if I do not put myself in a position where I'm working harder or I'm going outside of my element to make sure that I help bring value to the company or whatever, I'm considered lazy, I'm considered underperforming, I am a liability to the company, right? But however, if I go above and beyond for a company, or if I take the initiative to do other things to help bring value to the company, I'm looked at as a what's the term I'm looking for? Not a it's almost like being considered as a teacher's pet, as they labeled you in school. Every time the teacher asks the class a question and you the first person that raises your hand because you know all the answers, right? So it's a damn if you do, damn if you don't situation, in my honest opinion. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sean, one thing about, the things that you're saying there, whatever happens at the back, believe me, people's eyes are everywhere. there's other people watching at the back. What, if that place is fair or not fair, the next employer is going to look at that and say, hey, he got paid less, but he has his high degrees. I can see why he's not there anymore. People are now really intelligent and clever. They could find out the truth really fast there. So all these injustices that we go through, like you said, you never know who's watching us. And the people who make mistakes, I really have faith. And I read this in a self-improvement book there. The problems that we can't solve ourselves, and we can't solve all of our problems. And I can't solve every single problem out there, but I have solved many people's problems. But the problems we can't solve ourselves, this is what it said in my self-improvement book. There will always be somebody out there waiting to finish that for you. There will always be unfinished business in life. If you can't solve it, rest assured somebody else will come by, take care of it for you, whether you see it or not. I just wish I remember where I read that quote there. And I read it at a bookstore, Barnes & Noble bookstores. I just didn't get the name of the book or the author, but I read that and I liked it because I looked back at my life and I saw other people get their karma. Not because I wished for it, because it really does go around. Just like Earth spins on its axis, the water cycle goes from water to the liquid to the gaseous states, back down to liquid into the liquid state there. Just like carbon cycle, the nitrogen cycle, life has its way to cycle back. And so I figured just keep doing what I'm doing and let it go. And if I can make a big difference and help somebody out there, and I have, really. And I thought maybe if I can just change professions, I can get rid of all the negative people, but it doesn't work that way because, even being in professions, tax profession, driving profession, real estate, the people are people there. And I do face the right people and sometimes being in the wrong office, but I keep moving on until I find something that does work with me. It comes down to this. If they're not willing to help me and they're not appreciating how much I do for them, I'm in the wrong place there. I don't want to waste my time if I'm not getting the training or the help. And so, but I do carry all the knowledge and the training to the next job place. So even though whether they keep me, I leave, or they tell me to leave, I still look at all that as a win-win situation. I was unemployed during my time, a really brilliant guy like me, but also very kind-hearted to actually volunteer. I forgot to tell you this, I actually volunteered with the homeless shelter. I still give flyers out on the freeway. Flyers to help people get off the street. And I told my supervisor at the homeless shelter in Riverside, I want to help them, but I can't give money. And she said, no, don't, because it would just encourage them to stay there. But she gave me good advice, and she gave me all these flyers filled with over 100 contact information, churches, clothing, free food, and all that there. And whenever I'm out there, I still have that heart to just give that flyer to somebody out there. And I actually have helped homeless people, and I never expected anything back in return there. And the fact that I can do all these wonderful things and still come home and get a good night's sleep, I'm very fulfilled. I may not be a millionaire right now. Maybe one day I will, or maybe not.
But you look like you living in $1 million house, though, with the backdrop that you have behind you.
Well, yeah.
That's your mindset. That's your mindset. That's your vision.
Keep in mind, bigger the things, bigger the taxes. But even being a tax professional, I'm really close to becoming an enrolled agent, one of those tax attorneys. I'm really good at it there, and I haven't had to owe anything in a long time. I've been getting good refunds. But one of the things about that profession is not that many people understand about the tax profession and how important it is to maintain life itself. And just being that tax professional, I have actually opened up doors to actually help a lot of clients. And I have a little bit short of story to tell you. This Sunday, I work on tax office this season on Sunday. I had an 80-year-old couple. They told me they got robbed of $30,000 from their bank account. And I asked help from my supervisor, how can I help them write them off? We found a way to write that money off for the next 10 years. Now, that was probably one of the best things I could have ever done in my 8 years of being a tax professional there. And to help them write them off for the next 10 years in installments was just great. I had that big heart for them, and they're a lot older than me, and it made all the difference in the world from them carrying out and doing their taxes the right way. I'm glad they came to the right person, like myself and my supervisor, who are knowledgeable. Had they gone to somebody else, that tax return they would have had like over $5,000 or $8,000. We reduced it, and they now are getting back $155 back from federal. Now that's better than owing $5,000 to $8,000 there. So all the time that my studies and all that there that I enjoy, math, science, anything mathematical, quantitative, even television, all came from science. There, like I said, I never expected that I would have this positive, more big of an impact to society here. And, who knows what's going to happen more of a wonderful impact. So I don't realize it, but it's there. And for the people who are unemployed, I would say, don't give up. Don't give up. Enjoy life, the small things life has to offer. Enjoy what you have. Enjoy whatever you can get right now, because it's not going to be the same always. Things change over time, and they'll be back on their feet. And I just hope that they will be better maybe at saving money and learning how to overcome adversity when the time comes there. It makes a person stronger, Sean.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm going to read a comment, and it's from Michael. Big Mike, what's going on? Thank you so much for the check-in and for the comment there. He says that I'm dealing with some of these same issues at work now. I don't think you're the only one, Michael. There's a lot of people that are dealing with the same thing that you're dealing with. Dealing with these same issues at work, dealing with people, dealing with the pay. You may not be getting the kind of amount that you desire, that you consider you are worthy for. Dealing with different personalities at the job. We've all been there, right? And not knowing if your key card isn't going to work tomorrow, your badge isn't going to work tomorrow, or getting that pink slip from your employer saying, thank you for being an asset to our company, to our institution, but your services are no longer needed at this time. What do you say to people like Michael, who says, I'm dealing with some of these same issues at work right now? What is your advice?
Well, my best advice is he's not alone. And I have been there in the past, many different places. I would say make the best of it. Continue doing what you're doing. Don't let the negativity get you. Always take every negative thought and turn them around into positive thoughts. And that will help you change your mindset. The ability of ourselves to change our mindset and how we look at life is going to solve these problems for you there. And if you can look at life as, this is what I'm going through, what can I get out of it? And where can I go from here? And look at another different road paths and try something brand new. Keep trying and changing over and over until something works out. And I'm a scientist, and Thomas Edison, he failed over 1,000 times to get the light bulb to work. And if it takes this many failures for him to be successful, if it takes many of the greatest scientists to come up with all these great achievements there, even including myself there, I face challenges, failures, but I have become very successful. And you're looking at my title, chemistry professor. Now, I have a little short story to tell you. When I was in high school, I had average grades in chemistry. My teacher didn't really want to help me too much. I went to the university, I worked hard. My gosh, I'm one of the top people nationwide on Rate My Professors there because I worked hard, I loved it. I didn't let anybody get to me. I didn't let these external factors, these coworkers, these students, or anybody there. And I got bullied and picked on, but I didn't let that get to me there. I had a big heart, and I knew that, hey, I'm going to be happy with what I have. Something is going to come better, and I'm going to grab that next opportunity, whatever life comes there, instead of thinking.
It's a mindset.
The mindset,
yeah.
It really is. It really is. The brain is powerful. If you can tell yourself that I can do it and I love yourself, your brain's going to believe it. But if you tell yourself the negative, it will believe that too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Tonight's topic, if you're just now tuning in, we only got about a few minutes left with Professor Gill. I hope you don't mind me calling you Professor Gill now. We went from addressing you from your first name to now Professor Gill, since that's what a lot of your students prefer you. We call you as. Topic episode 3, panic attack, which a lot of people are already feeling the pinch in today's job market of being unemployed and dealing with issues at your job where you feel like you're either about to get let go or you are about to quit. We have Professor Gill, who is a chemistry professional. I was about to say professional, but you are a professional in your own right, chemistry professor, and he's here to share some insight, some advice, and even share his own stories about being unemployed and how it affected him and his livelihood on today's unemployment check. For those that missed it at the beginning of today's show, whatever time zone you're listening to and watching this broadcast, we played a clip courtesy of WANF here in Atlanta, channel 46, where a CDC worker let go, and had to go into the direction of pressure washing. So I want to go and play that clip one more time, and I am going to give my 2 cents on the story. I didn't get a chance to give my 2 cents on the story, but let's go ahead and play that really quick, and then when we come back, we'll wrap up the conversation after I give the audience and you, Professor Gill, my 2 cents on the story. So let's go ahead and play that audio clip just in case people didn't get a chance to listen to it.
Confusion and chaos at the Atlanta-based Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Employees fired, terminated, on leave, let go. No one's exactly sure what to call it, but one thing is certain, it's that the future is unclear. Atlanta News First Yasmina Alston is live near the West End community in southwest Atlanta. Yasmina, that's where one fired CDC employee is now forced to take up other work.
I'm reinstated, but I can't go in. I'm on administrative leave, and so I can't contribute to the team. And so I'm doing this now.
Pressure washing driveways is part of his new business, ATL Hose. Working with his equipment, Ryan Sloan is trying to stay occupied and make money after he says he was fired from Atlanta-based Centers for Disease Control and Prevention.
So I'm kind of living in limbo right now. I'm not really sure where I am or what's going to happen, so I just kind of exist.
Sloan was one of nearly 1,300 probationary employees at the CDC who were forced out under the Trump administration's move to get rid of them. He started at the CDC in December last year, then says he got terminated on February 14th due to performance, which he argues against. Then, in a twist, Sloan received an email until tomorrow.
The way this was done, it wasn't efficient. It's not making people healthier or safer. It's not making us greater. It's causing a lot of chaos and confusion.
Sloan says he's been vocal about his frustrations, joining others to protest outside of the CDC in DeKalb County.
It's nice people have honked.
His sign reads, quote, illegally fired government employee.
We hope we can have the administration's support soon because we would like the opportunity to get back to work for the American people.
Sloan worked in public relations at the CDC, a position that releases important information.
So this is vital information for affected communities.
Now he is spraying and washing for work, offering discounts to current CDC workers and their families, plus other fired federal workers, until he gets some answers.
This kind of chaos and confusion and contradicting mandates, it is confusing, and the American...
All right, and we're back. What you just heard was a soundbite, an audio clip courtesy of WANF Channel 46 here in Atlanta of a former CDC worker who was fired from the CDC and had to go into the direction of doing some pressure washing so that way he can keep up with his livelihood and still pay the bills and keep himself above water in these questionable, crazy times that we're living right now under the Trump administration. We have Professor Gill joining with us, chemistry professor, and also a published author who is with us this evening right here on Unemployment Check, episode 3. Panic attack. And by the way, I want to let people know that we are taking your contribution to this platform. So please show your support. We have all the information at the bottom in the ticker, which is located at the bottom of your screen there, or you can go ahead and support us by going to your Cash App, $Reach1 Communications to support the show. We are always in need of contributions, so that way we can give you quality programming like the one that you're watching right now and enjoying right now and commenting on. We really appreciate it, but we really appreciate it even more if you make a contribution to our platform, Cash App, $Reach1 Communications, to show your support. And don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel, Reach One Network. There it is at the bottom of your screen there. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Reach One Network so you can enjoy and watch programs like Unemployment Check and other shows that we have on demand 24/7 at Reach One Network. Like I said, we have Professor Gill joining with us, chemistry professor, here to share his story, his testimonial story, and other things that he got going on right now in his employment status at the moment. And so just to respond to the clip that we just played of the CDC worker who got fired, who said he got fired from the CDC under the Trump administration plan to eliminate as many governmental jobs as possible. I've been in that position before where you get fired, you get let go, and they still want to say on paper that it had something to do with your performance, which wasn't true. And it goes back to my previous employer that put performance on paper, but I've been with the company for 7 years. And it's one of those you scratch your head type of moments, because it's like, okay, I've been with the company for 7 years. How could my performance have anything to do with me being let go, even though I put in a 2-week notice due to the fact that something else came into my circle and presented an opportunity for me to enhance my career or to get a bigger check? I just felt like that was done out of retaliation. Let's say you.
Yeah, it's very, very common what you have gone through. I have gone through this. The way I look at it is, it may seem like that's where we want to be, but I learned one thing about life: the things that we really want may not be what we're looking for. And and it's hard for me to say that because I want to stay in my chemistry field, but I don't have to forever now. I have now the ability to do almost any profession almost out there now. You know, I may change my profession and be a radiologist, you never know, or a medical doctor, or I may end up becoming a judge. Like I said, I was in mediation. The fact that I'm using my time.
Can I interrupt you for just 1 second? I forgot to do this, by the way. My apologies. I got to give a shout out to the people on the check-in real quick. We got to acknowledge the people that's on the check-in watching this content, by the way. I apologize in advance, but I just want to shout them out and acknowledge them. Shout out to Studio 21 Media for joining in, as well as Melanie joining in via Instagram at Sean Garvey ATL. Also, big shout outs to CMob _ I'm Ran _ cool on the Instagram, checking in. I'm sorry if I'm butchering your name. My apologies. Charge it to my mind, but not my heart. But big shout outs to you for checking in. Also, Caribbean Life TV is checking in. Big shout outs to you. And also big shout outs to Painkiller Nikki for checking in and watching this content as well. If you're just joining with us, we're talking about the state of unemployment, panic attack. People are having panic attacks left and right due to job loss and how it's affecting people economically and mentally as well. And you just shared your story moments ago, but let's go back. And I know we left a bookmark in what you just said, but let's piggyback on what you just said.
Okay, well, really to make this, I know it's a really troubling time for everybody. We have to change the way we think. We have to change our mindset. And if we're going to make the best of it and overcome this nightmare that we're going through, we got to take a look at this and say that something else better is going to come along. So they let me go here and there. This person fired him here. The fact that if we could just say to ourselves, there will be something better that will come along, something better will come along. And I didn't really even think that myself. And I got that advice from one of my friends who was also in public speaking. And she was right. She was right. And I'm actually getting much better opportunities. And the fact that if we're unemployed and we have nothing else to do, you can do something. You can make good use of the time by maybe taking care of the house, by taking some continuing education classes, by taking some small jobs or volunteering. The fact that if you can just continue and move and do something out there to keep yourself mind busy and constructive, the time will come where you'll be back where you would really love to be again there. Again, changing the mindset here, not really letting the news or society's negativity. I mean, first of all, we live in the greatest nation in the world there. And we're still, I mean, come on. I mean, are we still that depressed? I would hope not. I mean, there. And so living in the greatest nation of the world, there's really should be no room for depression. The reason why we have it is because everybody wants more and more and more and more and more. And it's that mentality that living in this fast pace, wonderful, rich nation, USA, all the things that we have here that desire having more and more and more, it's not going to satisfy you. Okay. Satisfaction, happiness comes inside there. So changing the mindset, keeping yourself busy, doing something constructive, that will solve all of your problems out there.
So I get all that, right? Having the mindset and having the positivity mindset. I definitely agree you got to have the positive mindset. What do you think, what more can we do as a society, as a people, to where we're helping others get out of that rut, get out of that situation, right? Because saying you got to have a positive mindset is one thing, right? But I'm all about action. Bills got to get paid at the end of the day. The mortgage still got to get paid at the end of the day. I still got to support my family. I still got to put food on the table, right? What more can we do as a community, as a society, to help one another?
Well, one of the things is that, and this goes back to even biology, adaptation to the environment. We need to adjust our adaptation to our environment in order to survive. And if that takes having other people help us work as a network to help us emotionally or financially, there to be with each other, more connected as a community to help each other out, that will actually help tremendously there. And again, that mindset, positivity. I always tell my students, smile and be happy anyway. And the fact that I come in enthusiastic and smiling and happy anyway, and I leave everything out there, it's great therapy. And the more I tell them to smile and be happy, they do it. And I know there's worried about bills and all that there, but we always have our friends or communities who we can reach out and somehow support each other to help us get through these tough times, because there are people out there who do want to help there just as much. I unselfishly have helped many people out there and never expect anything back in return. It's hard to believe that because we think it's all about me, but there are people out there. I'm also a volunteer with the American Red Cross, but I don't have time to go out there. I'm an administrator late at night there, and I don't get paid for it there. So again, focusing on the positive, changing the positive mindset, getting help, support from the community, making good use of your time, being constructive with your hobbies, find any jobs out there, find any volunteer work, take continuing education classes, build those skills there. It will take care of everything for all of you out there.
One thing you said just now about getting to hobbies, right? When I started radio, it was a hobby, but then I found a passion in it. I found a love in it to where now I can make this transferable. I can turn something that I love doing that is a hobby into something that can be monetized. And that's what I did, is finding something in the meantime, between time, that I love doing that can bring me some type of monetary value, right? And like I said, to the audio clip from the CDC worker that lost his job here in Atlanta, here in Georgia, and had to go into the profession of pressure washing. Let me tell you all something. I'm going to be very honest and transparent with you. I don't see anything wrong with that. And I know that he is the gentleman that spoke to news reporters about it. I know that he has been accustomed to working in that job. He's been working in that field for a long period of time. But sometimes you got to find the good and the bad situations, right? And so for him to turn towards pressure washing, it may be something at first where he didn't really want to do. He didn't really see it as a profession, as something that he wants to do long term. But you have to do what you have to do to stay in survival mode. And I haven't received any updates on the gentleman, whether he got his job back at the CDC or not, or if he's still doing that. But I've spoken to some people who have worked in corporate America before, worked in governmental jobs in the past, and had to turn to that type of profession, whether it's lawn mowing or landscaping or any type of architectural type of job or what have you. And some of the people said to me, I love doing this job better than when I was working for corporate America or for the government. And once again, there's nothing wrong in working in any of those entities. But if the inevitable happens to where now you find yourself working or doing a side hustle or doing something where it causes you to do what the CDC worker did, pressure washing and other things, you may be like, wait a minute, I'm making more money than when I was making at this entity or at this institution or at this company. And now I love doing it. I find myself love doing it. I didn't care for it at first, but now I love doing it because it brings a level of peace and tranquility to me. I think a lot of people who work in these institutions and working in corporate America, they get caught up in the rat race, right? And they get comfortable in their position. But then when things become uncomfortable and you have to do something else, maybe it's just the universe way of saying, you don't need to be in that position, or you don't need to be in that world. You need to be over here.
Yes, absolutely here. It goes back to the laws of physics. Forces interacting with each other. Forces have its way of changing directions to the point where everything should stay equilibrium for each one of our individuals there. And that's one of the things that I enjoy teaching with my students, is being able to take the scientific concepts and apply it to the real world there. One of the things as we conclude this, and normally the best advice, best things are stated at the last minute, especially I always tell my students, never leave your professor's class the last few minutes, because those are the most important minutes. So these last few minutes, really the best advice I can give all of you, perhaps read the book by David Burns, Feeling Good. I've read that book, and one of the best advice he tells you is talk back to your internal critic. Your internal critic is telling you these negative thoughts, whether we're grown up and raised in a protective environment with negative thoughts protecting us from the real world here, but your ability to talk back to those negative thoughts and change them to positive thoughts is going to help you. Now, let me tell you one thing about professions. And I get this exact from David Burns in his book, Feeling Good. Okay, millions of copies of the book. He's an MD there, and he states there, your job does not determine your worth as a human being. And I read that, and it really read my mind, because a lot of professors, or big time hotshot big executives, put their worth in their jobs and their degrees, PhD, MDs, etc. I even learned from one of my coworkers, he knew somebody in New York had an MD and a PhD, and he became homeless. And I said, what? Why? He couldn't handle the stress and pressure. So really, that idea of big ego thinking of, oh, I have this big position, I'm the president, or I'm the big chief police officer. It does not determine your worth as a human being. And if you're really brave enough, like me, to go from a big to small position and not be scared about it, I really think you're a really big person for doing something like that, because you're not going to be in that position forever. Even if you are there, so what? Okay, something else will come along. Life has this way of changing. Things change over time there. And again, your job does not determine your worth as a human being. And if there's anything anybody's going to get out of this over 1 hour with me here, is basically what I just said here. Your job doesn't determine your worth as a human being. Change your mindset there and take whatever life comes to and keep moving forward.
I love it. I love that affirmation. That insight right there is all about just moving forward, staying positive mentally, and doing what you have to do, and know that you're not going to be in that position long term or permanently. I've had times where I've been in the worst of the worst. I've been in situations where I was homeless. I've been in situations where I was staying at one place, at another. And I just felt like, man, I'm never going to get to my full potential because of all these different roadblocks that are in front of me. But it's the mindset, and we keep going back to the mindset because it is about the mindset, and then everything else follows behind that. But really quick, because I know we're running out of time here, and speaking of books, because you brought up an author and you're an author yourself, the 21st Century Advanced Chemistry and a few other works that people can go online and view and support after this episode. Let's break down some of the literature, some of the works that you have done thus far that can help people or give some type of assistance to people that are in need of help.
Okay, well, a lot of those books are, and they can be read from the general audience there, except for that first one there. It's more for a university course level book there. But the cosmetics chemistry books is great because there aren't that many people in the beauty industry who understand the chemistry of makeup. They're the good and then the not so good and all that there. And so that's where I come in, and I got help from estheticians and other beauty professionals who help me put my books together. And I think it's a really wonderful thing for the ladies to look into about the chemistry in my books there. As for the general public there, those of you who are in the teaching profession, I do have a book published, Mastery of Excellent Teaching. There, that's actually in the market worldwide. There, if anybody wants to see how exactly I became excellent and how I continue to do so, I have it there for that there. But other than that, honestly, I haven't wrote a book on self-improvement, but everything that I told you in this over 1 hour really comes from the experts that I've researched and who I've learned from. So like Michael Jackson said, the best education is really learning from the experts there. And he really learned from the expert, and he is really phenomenal. I really look up to people in the 1980s, 1990s, great role models, and I aspire to be just as good as them. I wonder if I could even be even just more better than them if I could there. And so all the wonderful things that I look up, all the positive things, it's there for me to look at. And I push the negative things away from me here. What you've gone through, homelessness, goes back to what Alan's saying. There are people there who are willing to help you from one place to another place. They're there. You're here with me. I could be probably one of the best friends to almost anybody in the world there. Like I said, one of my goals long term, I want to still do science until I'm 100 years old and contribute to some of the greatest discoveries for all of us here. There's a lot of exciting things in the science field, eliminating homelessness, eliminating cars to self-driving cars, all the things that could solve society's problems here. I'm here for that there. And just know that there is somebody out there watching over everybody, and there is someone out there to help you.
Right. Absolutely. You got to have that major support system. That's definitely important. So I'm going to put up the website information and any additional information that the viewers can take advantage of. For more information on how they can order or learn more about you, they can go to the website here at the bottom of your screen there. And I'm going to let the people know how they can get more information about your works and all that good stuff.
Yeah, there's also one I didn't get a chance to put on my cover letter, one on perfumes, Sentence Symphony there. So if the ladies love perfumes, it's there. It's a very beautiful website. There's even a YouTube video there. My publisher, Author House, made it. Again, I work with estheticians, beauty professionals. I didn't put these things together by myself there. I did contribute the majority of it as chemistry there. And I'm going to keep renewing it there because I want people to see that, hey, Professor Gill is well-rounded, not just for the guy stuff, but I have my lady audiences. I had students who actually I have inspired to actually go and major in chemistry and go into the cosmetics industry there. And I never thought that it would actually happen for them there. And I'm going to be writing more books and getting them published. You could also find these books on Barnes & Noble bookstores online, worldwide, Amazon, and almost any outlet online out there. So more is going to come for all of you out there, ladies there, okay?
Absolutely, and the information is there at the bottom. For more information, go to complexionperfectors.com. I said it right, correct?
Mm-hmm. Complexion Perfectors. The ladies, they know it probably better than us, but I know what they're talking about. So you'll learn a lot. Trust me, ladies. Okay, look nice for your husband, boyfriends.
Yeah, you're gonna soak up a lot. You're gonna be a sponge when you visit the website, complexionperfectors.com. Barnes & Noble, bookstores, online, Amazon, and many other online retail outlet stores to support this gentleman that we have here on the platform, Unemployment Check. Professor Gill, thank you so much for the opportunity to come on and let your voice be heard in front of thousands to millions of people worldwide as we're still waking up each morning and figuring out this complex world that we're living in right now, where people are getting cut by the day or losing their jobs by the day and having to go back to ground zero or having to go back to the drawing board and do it all over again. But the one thing you said that was very powerful and very insightful is that to have a positive mindset. Mm-hmm. And to know that this is just temporary. It's not permanent. It's temporary. But also learning the do's and don'ts so that you won't make the same mistakes ever again. Whenever you get into that new profession or if you decide to take a leap of faith and start your own entrepreneurial business. So we really appreciate it. Thank you so much, Professor Gill.
No problem. No problem. I just want to clarify something. I would never think that we're starting all over again. I look at it as we're continuing to build upon what we have there. So continuing building from whatever I had in my career, my past life, and building upon that is going to allow you to be more creative. And all of your teachings, your careers, your life experiences. I can relate this to one of my favorite shows of Michael Jackson, Captain EO. He really has integrated a lot of science and science fiction to make that show fabulous one time at Disneyland here. So learning from the experts, moving forward, changing the mindset to positivity, all of you can make it and can be successful.
There you go. All right. Well, thank you so much, Professor Gill, for joining with us right here on Unemployment Check. We really appreciate it. And many success, much success to you and everything that you do. Thank you.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you for inviting me, Sean. I guess you pronounce your name Garvey?
Garvey, that's correct. But offline is Sean Anthony Garvey. So I try to make it easier for our viewers and our listeners by just saying Sean Garvey most of the time.
Wonderful. I just thank you for inviting me to your show here. And I really hope that both of us have made a positive, and I'm sure we have made a positive impact for everybody. And again, thank you very much for inviting me to your show, and continue to do what you're doing here. And you are making a great positive impact, Sean Garvey. Okay.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Professor Gill.
No problem.
Thank you for your time. All right. This has been Unemployment Check, ladies and gentlemen. And once again, the information is right there at the bottom of your screen there, complexionperfectors.com, for all the ladies that want to learn more about what Professor Gill got going on his end. Barnes & Noble, bookstores, online, Amazon, and many other online retail outlet stores, wherever you can get it. All right. So tune in to episode 4. This is episode 3 of Unemployment Check. So we are still growing, ladies and gentlemen. This is just one of many episodes to come, and continue to support the platform. Cash App, $Reach One Communications to support the show. You can go ahead and donate now. We're going to have a few other places where you can show your support. If you are not on Cash App, we have PayPal, we have Patreon, and a few others as well, but we're going to have that displayed on our screen there very soon. So be on the lookout for that. And once again, don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe this video. This video will be up on other platforms, including the Flow Television Network, Honey. You can see those 2 subsidiaries at the top of your screen there. Honey and the Flow, we operate 24/7, but most importantly, like, share, subscribe to our YouTube channel at Reach One Network, and check out all of the coolest episodes, informative episodes that we have, including this one right here, Unemployment Check. Until the next time, I am Sean Garvey signing off. You see it at the bottom of your screen there, Sean Garvey ATL. Follow me, Instagram, all over the place. And if you follow me there, you can follow me everywhere, TikTok, Facebook, even on X. I'll probably get off of X very soon, but I am on X in the meantime. All right. So until the next time, you all take care of each other. Thank you so much for pressing the wrong thing because we're getting ready to get up out of here. But I appreciate you all for spending time with me. And until the next time, you all take care. This has been another great episode of Unemployment Check. Talk to you soon. Take care.
Paycheck.
I'm unemployed.
Paycheck. Paycheck.
I'm unemployed.
Paycheck. Play sets and make reps for paychecks, and you stay fresh. Don't take threats from bait heads.
I'm unemployed.
Unemployment check.